Here we've got the retrospec Beaumont City Bike, and let's unbox it and go through on how to build it.
All right, this is what it looks like when the bike is in there.
So we're gonna grab the bike and simply lift it up. There you go. All right, make sure you grab the other components as well. Have the bike standing upright like this, and this part is very important. So this fork, rotate it 180 degrees such that it is facing forward. And then just lay the bike down. And now we're gonna cut all the packaging off and make sure you don't cut the cables. This is super important. Otherwise your brakes, your gears won't work. All right, so very carefully start cutting the zip ties. Also, when you're using the scissors and you're cutting near the paint, if the scissors touch the paint, it might chip the paint, so be careful about that too. All right, so there's gonna be these plastic plugs covering the bike's holes in various positions, such as this one, that one, and you wanna remove them. The only thing you want to keep is what's below the fork, because that part touches the ground. We don't want that part to get damaged, so keep this for now. So once you remove the plastic plug from here, if you have grease laying around, apply a thin layer on the seat tube.
Note that this step is optional. Grease will help the longevity, but it's not necessary.
Not a lot of grease is needed here. What you want to do is grab the seat and just put it in there. Grab the hex wrench, and for now just tighten it at any position. You can fine tune it later. All right, now we will grab the handlebars. It must face the correct direction. This is very important. So pretend as if you're riding it, kind of. Make sure it's going the handlebars are facing the right direction. As you can see, there's this part that's a little loose. It's like a wedge-shaped part. What you have to do is put a little grease around the wedge. So I'm gonna do that now. All right, so on the handlebar, there will be a part that says minimum insertion height. That mark must be below this hole right here. So I'm gonna go with this random height for now. And I'm gonna sort of tighten it, make sure it's like generally aligned with the fork of the bike, but we can fine tune this later on.
All right, we're about to flip the bike upside down. So we want to ensure that this and this is not gonna get crushed by the weight of the bike. So we sort of face it down so that now this part is only open to, like, you know, no, it's not open to any accessories.
All right, now it's time to flip the bike upside down. Thankfully, the bike is quite light, so that wasn't too big of a task. Now we can take this plastic part off that I previously told you to not take off. Great, you can throw that away.
And at this point, we can also remove this metal thing. So just pull that out. When we grab this and we're putting it in,
a lot of people watching this are gonna struggle with putting the wheel through these brake calipers right here. If your wheel gets stuck on the brake caliper when you're putting it in, just squeeze the tire where the caliper is, and the tire will become way thinner than it currently is, because it's a pretty thick tire, right? So if it's not going through, just squeeze the tire and it'll go through the brake calipers.
we're going to make sure that that little pin right here, that little hook, matches this hole perfectly. And here's a close-up of that situation. So as you can see, this washer, it can move either on this side or this side. You want it on the outside of the bike. When we go to the other side, the washer on this side can be either here or here. You want it to be right here on the outside, so it'll align just like that. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm gonna put it in. As you can see right here, I have the washer on the outside. So it goes axle, washer, and then the nut. What I'm gonna show you here is how to put this in the hole. So just like that. And yeah, that's it. And then you just sort of tighten it a little bit, but we're not gonna fully tighten it, just a little bit. And as you can see, it's in there. And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So again, on this side, axle, washer, nut. I'm gonna tighten it a tiny bit. Actually, wait, let me just align it first. So this is gonna go in that hole right there, perfect. Now I can align it.
Okay, so these both sides are loose. What we wanna do is tighten the nuts at the same time so that it's not like uneven. So we're gonna sort of tighten them. They're making like similar amounts of progress towards the center of the axle and sort of have things loose. Loose is good. All right. Okay, now, great. So now once you reach a point where you can't really tighten by hand anymore, we're going to grab that hex tool right here. This is what it looks like. It comes with the bike. And find the hole that matches the nut perfectly and tighten a little bit on this side, then switch to the other side. Tighten a little bit on this side and a little bit on the opposite side. Tighten a little again and don't go too hard, just a little bit. And on this side. Give it like somewhat of a firm tug, but maybe use this trick. What I do is I put it here and then I use 2 of my fingers, or maybe 1, and I go like fairly hard, but when you pull with only 1 or 2 fingers, you automatically can't put that much power in it. So, and just to make sure we've done it correctly, let's give it a little spin. I don't hear any sounds, that means it's pretty good. If you hear some sounds in the brakes, sort of adjust it left and right. Even when you adjust the brakes and you've set them to the correct position, if you can still hear a sound, you might have done something wrong, like maybe your axle's tilted heavily, but I doubt that's gonna happen. If you actually turn the bike upside down, that's very unlikely. So let's move on to the next one. Now we will turn the bike upside down again. Great. Well, what a nice looking bike this is. Wow, it's amazing. All right. Now I suggest using the kickstand. We want to sort of fine tune the adjustment of the handlebars a bit. Grab your hex wrench, and you know how we tightened it right here? Well, there's another bolt that's on this side.
So this is what I'm talking about right here.
What you want to do is loosen that a bit. Great. So now, as you can see, this can go like that. Sort of go in your position and find something comfortable. There you go. This seems pretty comfortable to me. I'm going to move this out of the way. There you go. All right, and make sure it's centered, and then go grab this and start tightening it. And I'm also going to go ahead and fix the position of the bell and the reflecting thing. All right, I've tightened this pretty good. Let's give it another check. All right, now you can use the screwdriver to tighten the accessories like the reflector and the bell. It's perfect. All right, also now that the wheel's on, what you want to do is sort of align the handlebar with the wheel. And once it's pretty well aligned, grab the hex wrench again and tighten this with like, not like an excessive amount of force, but enough force that when you turn this, the handlebar doesn't move that much relative to the wheel. So I'm gonna tighten a little more. See? All right, nice. Now the wheel is pretty well aligned with the handlebar. Great. And don't tighten it too much. You know, provide a good amount of force, but not like nothing to sort of damage the bike. All right, then grab the right pedal. It says R right here on the pedal itself, so make sure it's not the left one. Then what you do, again, if you have a little bit of grease, put a tiny amount not a lot. And after I put it on, I like to sort of spread it using like a paper towel. Get like a thin coat around the thread. Great. And then go to the right crank and sort of start to put it in with your hand. I say with your hand because at this point it doesn't really help that much to use a wrench. There's quite a bit of rotation that needs to happen before you start tightening it. And the other thing is, if it's not really going in very easily, you just need to align it properly. So make sure that the threads match perfectly before you keep going. All right, once you start to feel some resistance, grab this wrench thing and then start turning it with that part. Again, this comes with the bike. Keep turning it. Now, for this one, we actually go pretty hard, like considerable amount of force, not like, you know, your entire body weight, but make sure this is tightened very well because these pedals are going to endure quite a bit of force. All right. Now we repeat with the left pedal. However, there's a very important difference. For the right pedal, we did righty-tighty, right? However, for the left pedal, it is lefty-tighty, which is counterintuitive because you usually like turn things clockwise to screw them in. Now we will turn this counterclockwise to screw it in. So kind of like this. As you can see, in order to tighten it, I am turning it counterclockwise. And now I'm doing the last bit with this wrench thing. I'm going kind of hard. Not too hard. There you go. Then grab the front fender and insert it from the back of the fork, like this. Just like that.
In the toolbox, you've received this bolt, washer, and nut. Put the bolt in through the front just like that. Then align the fender such that it is through the bolt. Now it's time to put the washer and the nut on. It should look something like this. Now, before tightening this nut, what you need to do is push this up as far as it will go, so like down versus up, right? And while you're tightening, make sure that it's not like this or like that, right? As you can see here, let me zoom out. As you can see, there's some freedom, right? So we want it to sort of be symmetrical. So however much space exists here, we want that much space over there, right? And then tighten this nut you have right here. Tighten that once you have it set up properly.
You can tighten this this nut with the wrench they provide, but I'm gonna use this thing, which is basically like something similar, just because it's easier. Oh, and while you're tightening it from that, you gotta grab this Allen, the hex tool thing, and stabilize the bolt while you're tightening down the nut. All right, I've tightened it a bit. Now I'm going to double check that the height and the position of the fender is good. And yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect because the actual adjustment is going to occur with these things. All right, now we're going to attach these metal things onto the fork.
So basically this will go right here. We're going to start by unscrewing this.
And then we sort of move this around and sort of force it on. And it's okay to bend this if it's not like doing very well, just bend it because this fender, it's supposed to be bent. It is designed to be bent. All right, I got one down. So now I'm gonna tighten it.
This side is done. Now I'm gonna do this side. This has been screwed on. This has also been screwed on. So it's connected on both sides. However, it is still not perfectly aligned. It's still crooked. Look, there's a big gap here and it's not aligned perfectly. I don't know if you can tell on video, it's really like misaligned, right?
And that's completely normal. It's designed to be that way. So what you just do is you grab your hands and you just sort of force it into a nice position. And that's pretty much how you do it. So this thing is supposed to be sort of malleable by hand. So I'm just gonna move it until I get something that looks right.
All right, I don't know if you can tell on video, but now the fender is perfectly aligned. Like it goes literally perfectly along the wheel. So now we will adjust the brakes. The brakes are actually like not very well adjusted, at least for me when I unboxed it. So the space here is substantially higher than the opposing side. Like here, there's basically no space. It's almost rubbing along the rim. But here, there's like ample space. So the way we adjust that is you sort of move this screw. You basically change how this is screwed, and this will change how close each side of the brake is to the rim, right? So just trial and error that until you get it perfectly. Adjust the screw, squeeze this hard, and then inspect the positioning. Sometimes you'll need to adjust this cable, but I didn't need to adjust it, and I don't want to add that complexity onto the video, so I'm not even going to mention that. But basically, like, if your brake seems like super loose, then you have to adjust this using the hex, the screw here, and you can look that up online. Any bike that has these types of brakes, it'll be the exact same. So now I'm going to do the same on the rear brake right here. And just to show you one more case of something that might need to be adjusted out of the box is I've basically made this crooked on purpose. So just this one is crooked, and crooked in the sense that it's no longer parallel to the rim, right? As you can see, there's an angle between the rim and the brake caliper. So what you do is you basically loosen this right here. Right now it's pretty loose. And this will allow me to sort of move this freely, right? So I make this parallel and sort of line it up perfectly with that metal part of the rim. And once it's pretty good, as you can see, there's no longer an angle between the caliper and the rim itself, right? Now I can go ahead and tighten it.
Now we will install the rear rack. So we align it with these small screws here and the small screws right here. So first I'm going to take all those screws off. And the other thing about the rear rack is it's kind of similar to the fender in the sense that it is designed to be malleable. So like if it doesn't fit, just grab the rear rack and like bend it. But bend it a little bit. It's not supposed to be like bent extremely. So I'm first gonna put the upper screws in. Whoops, I just dropped one under the couch. Not fun, I'm gonna need to grab that. All right, I've retrieved the screw that fell, so now I'm attaching the last one by hand. And once it's mostly in there, then we start the tightening with the hex tool. Great, we got the rear rack successfully installed. It is quite sturdy. Now for the last step, grab a pump and inflate those tires. So the amount you're supposed to inflate it to will depend on what tire you're using. The stock tires that come with the bike, it says it literally on the tire, 50 to 85 PSI, right? So if you put different tires on that PSI rating will change. So the stock tires, again, 50 if you want a more like comfy ride, a little bit more cushion. 85 will give you the highest amount of efficiency when you're cycling. So your bike will go the fastest when the PSI is 85. All right, I filled up the tires, and now we're pretty much good to go, but there's 3 optional things that you need to do with this bike. The first and most important thing is immediately take a photo of the serial number. It is located directly under the axle of the pedals, so it's like right here. Take a photo of that immediately. That's critical because if someone steals your bike and then you're like, wait, that's my bike, I see you riding my bike, you go confront them and the cops come and then they're like, well, how do we know that this is your bike? You'll be like, guess what, I have a serial number that matches the serial number of this bike perfectly, so that's my bike. And the cops will be like, that makes sense, here you go. So take a photo of it. The second most important thing is air tag the bike. There's so many places you could put air tags on the bike. You could tape it somewhere, you could go on Amazon and buy like air tag attachment accessories that hide it sort of discreetly. I recommend doing that. That way, you pull up your phone, you look at the map, you know exactly where your bike is at all times, right? So that's a great theft prevention measure. The third thing is, there's some annoying stickers on this bike right now. So there's a Made in China sticker and 2 assembly instructional stickers. There's no need for them to be on your bike, so I would go ahead and take those off.
When I removed the sticker from here, it left no residue. However, when I removed the stickers on the side and this sticker right here, it left a pretty significant residue. I found that isopropyl alcohol doesn't help with these ones. I found that the most helpful thing is get a pretty nice tape and get the sticker residue off by doing this. So I found that there's no other way to get the sticker residue off. If you don't want to deal with this, I don't recommend touching this sticker at all. You can't see it anymore because I took it off. These ones, it's not that hard to get off. So yeah, again, beware taking this sticker off because it's very, very, very tough to take off.
Other than that, enjoy the ride, and what a beautiful bike this is.